Hello and welcome everybody. We'll wait a few minutes till everybody's audio is tuned in and all of the things that we know take some time with Zoom. All right. Very good. Let me just make sure I check my list here and nobody else is still trying to get in or anything like that. All right. So welcome. I am Wendy Fringer. I'm the Associate Director of Pre-College Programs, and we help the Lott Institute host their programming every summer for high school students. So I'm here tonight really to facilitate and to answer questions as needed. I have a couple other people who are joining us on this call, and I know there are more that are going to be watching this as a recording. So I just want to make sure everyone knows you are encouraged very much so to have your camera on, because we love to see people and feel like we're talking to actual humans. And then also it gives us a chance to follow your cues. If you're going, I'm confused, then we can, back up and go back over something. But we are recording. So if you don't want to be immortalized in this charming Lott video, you can turn off your camera too. We completely get that. I would like to introduce, before we really get going, one of my colleagues who will be minding the chat while we're on tonight. Ari, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ari Lugo, and I work here at the Office of Pre-College Programs. So my major role is to facilitate all the extracurricular activities for credit students. They go from academic activities to fun and everything in between. So you will be seeing me during the summer very often, almost every day.
Yeah. Ari doesn't really sleep for 2 months, and neither do I, while we're running these programs, but it's worth it. And as she said, she runs all kinds of things, and I may ask her to speak a little bit more about that later, but everything from inviting campus presenters to give tours to our students, kind of behind the scenes sort of special stuff, to parties like our Vegas night or other kinds of things that we do to keep the weekends fun. Ari's in charge of all that stuff. And so I will start just by congratulating all of you on being nominated for the Lott Leadership Summer Institute. It's a real honor. I can tell you every year we'll probably see about several hundred, it varies, could be 300 to 500 some years, people nominated from across the United States. We've already got nominees from Guam and Hawaii. If you're one of those people, please come. We're dying to see you. I know it's a long ways, but we get nominations from all over the country and sometimes all over the globe for this program. And then we have 40 students that actually come to campus. So it's a real honor to be one of those who was nominated in the first place. And it'll be an honor if you are selected to attend the program too. So congratulations to all of you, and good for you for being here on a Wednesday night. I know it's a busy time. Sophie and I were just talking about how busy it is this time of year. And I know you have a lot of other things going on. So I'm glad you're here. And all the people who will later watch this video will also be glad you were here, so that we actually ran the event. We're going to get kicked off tonight with me just sort of giving you a real quick sketch of the Lott Leadership Program in case some of you have never heard of it. And then what we're going to do is just have Sophie talk about her experience. I'll ask her some questions and then you can pick her brains too. How many of you had already heard about the Lott Leadership Summer Institute before you were nominated and kind of know what it is? You can raise your hand. You can do the little yellow hand if you're not off screen. Yes, great. We got a real human hand. Okay. So not a lot of familiarity if the black screens are any indication. So the Lott Leadership Summer Institute is an opportunity for students in high school who are currently juniors to come to campus and do 5 weeks of programming where they get college credits. You earn a total of 7 credits across sort of 2 traditional classes and then one that's just a 1-hour credit class. You get these college credits, and in addition to that, you get exposure to a big network that Lott Leadership has to offer. So they will connect you with leaders from across the states. You'll meet with speakers who are politicians in DC, like representatives and senators and that kind of stuff. You'll meet with business leaders. You'll meet with former Lotties. We call them Lotties. If you've participated, you're a Lottie forever. We'll meet with Lotties who are like now like CEOs at Google and big companies like that. You'll meet with local people who are doing just transformative work in their communities as leaders. So you meet with all these different folks as part of the Lott Leadership Program, in addition to the classes. And of course, you live on campus too. So you get that experience of being a college student. You are taking college classes, you are living in college dorms, you are doing things that college students do. We're not walking you to class, we're not tucking you into bed at night. You're doing the things that college students do with just a little bit of added supervision, because I need to be able to sleep at night knowing that you're in your dorm and safe. So we'll talk a little bit in more detail about that, but this really fits into a broader context. The Lott Leadership Institute is much more than just this summer program. They run a public policy and leadership major, which helps students on our campus prepare to be the leaders, prepare to be the visionaries who make big change in the state and in the country. And it's a selective major, so we don't just accept anybody into it. And beyond that, they do a lot of other things in various spheres around the campus and around the state. They have a lot of different programs, especially focused on leadership and public policy. And their goal is really just to make sure that young people have access to the networks that we know are so very powerful and can really help young people's visions come to life through these networks and through these contacts they make. So that's the Lott Leadership in a nutshell, and the Summer Institute in a nutshell. We'll go into more detail as we go further, but I'd like to introduce Sophie Holloman. Sophie, you want to start just by saying where you're from, what your interests are, what kind of activities you do, give a sense of who you are.
Okay, so hi. My name is Sophie, and I live in Fairhope, Alabama, and generally interests are like art and like trying to help out with animals and all that. I'm part of my local art club, and also I'm part of my teen animal advocate program for my local humane society. And I really enjoyed the program here for Lott Institute, so I mean I would recommend it.
That's good. That's great. Well, good thing, because it would have been a real shocker if you came on and you're like, don't do it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm coming in like from the like new perspective. I was the first student from my school to ever get selected to be part of it, and it was a great experience.
We had a bunch of new folks. So we get, you get schools that just love the program and send you students year after year, and they just, you just get to really know the school, I think, through the students. And then you get students like Sophie and like Julian from New York. And we had a lot of students this year who were from schools we'd never heard of before. And it was a lot of fun to see all of you come together and form this community. I'll speak a little bit about how that works when we talk about applications towards the end, because that's a really important part of this, is that you get students from all over the place coming together to make these cohorts of just 20 students. But Sophie, can you tell us why? Okay, so you were the first, you didn't even have people telling you, oh, I did this, I loved it. Why did you decide to apply, especially given that it's not an easy application? You have to do quite a bit for it.
I was interested in mostly just getting a new experience, and like I've been interested in Ole Miss. Like my family has been there and graduated from there for many generations, and just like I wanted to actually know what it's like. Plus also public speaking, I thought that was an interesting class to take because it could be very versatile in many different areas, and that class did not disappoint me. I really enjoyed it. Probably my favorite class there. And if you get Dr. Moore for your session, tell her I said hi. And it's just something new.
Yeah, that's great. And I think you have a lot of students. You have students like Sophie who are like, well, we love Ole Miss, we know Ole Miss. And then you have students like I just mentioned Julian, and he was one who had hoped he would be able to be here, but he wasn't sure his schedule would work out. Julian was from New York City, went to Stuyvesant High School. It's a math science school, public school in New York. Didn't know a thing about the place, and that's why he wanted to be here, because he was like, what is this? I'm curious. So we get students come in for all kinds of reasons. And Sophie, don't worry, Dr. Moore is coming back. I just saw her this weekend. So yeah, she will be teaching the public speaking class. And the other classes you take are a political science class. And what's great about public speaking and political science is that even if you go to another university after this for your undergraduate work, those are generic kind of classes that every university offers, and they should probably count towards your general education requirements. Most universities will accept those credits from the University of Mississippi. So that's a really nice piece of it, that you get those two classes that anyone anywhere can use. And then you also take a class that's focused, that 1 hour class is focused on leadership, and that really recognizes the time that you're going to spend, like in addition to your classes, with speakers, and doing some of the extra work that comes with that, preparing for DC, for example, and those kinds of things. Because I think they probably will get to go to DC this year. Sophie, I'm sorry you didn't get to go.
No, that's all right. I still enjoyed it.
Yes, and I'll have you speak about that in a second too. So what was the hardest part of the application process? How did you get through the application process? You're going to have from December 15th this year to January 25th. It's not a lot of time to get it all done.
So what I first did was just look at like the instructions and like try to understand what it was asking for. And I will say, please read the instructions. I did everything, but I did not read the essay portion exactly as it was. I thought it was you had to write one essay at like just either or, but you had to write both of them. And the way I was able to like finish the second one in like in a week and a half, if I had to approximate a time, was putting dedication, just writing down many rough ideas and then just getting it in a paragraph and just asking for help, like parents, teachers, and even my counselor, just to ask for like checking and making sure that, like put like what you feel passionate about on the essay. I feel like if it's asking about something personal, just put it all out there,
Yeah.
Don't hide any punches.
That's great advice, Sophie. And I like the idea of just running it by other people too. A lot of people feel like, well, but I've got writer's block. I can't do this. There's no such thing. I'm a writer. I've taught writing for many years. And I can tell you, there's no such thing as writer's block. There's just writers who are frustrated. And that's a different thing. You can always write something. It might be a bad something, but you can definitely write it. And if you write through the badness, you can get to good stuff. And Sophie's idea of talking to people is another way. You can kind of write out loud. You can say, well, what if I did this? And then pretty soon you've talked through it and you're going, oh, that person just said that was a good idea. I said bad things for about 5 minutes. And then the 6th minute, I got something good out. And then you go sit and write it down. So that's all very good advice, Sophie. Thank you.
Yeah. And also, like, if you're trying to talk about ideas, if you're not the type of person to like write down ideas, you can try to get like a recording app on your phone or your computer and just talk aloud about it. So that way you can listen it to the past and then start writing from there.
Yep. Maybe you can come work for us as a writing center consultant in the future, Sophie, if you need us.
I'm good with like ideas and concepts. I'm not too good at the grammar portion.
Dr. Shelton will be hiring, just saying. But yeah, so another thing to know is that this year, instead of 2 essays, you will actually have an essay and a video as your component, and you'll get that explanation. And December 15th, we'll send out an email that explains all the things you need to do for the application. Here's this step, here's that step. In fact, Ari has been working on that, like to make sure it's really clear for people, but you will have both an essay and a video to complete for that. So Sophie, can you say so what was the experience like actually doing the Lott program? How would you describe that to someone who's trying to figure out, is this something they want to do?
If you want to learn what college is like, that is definitely a good, Ole Miss is like such a great campus. There's so many resources. Everyone there is just super friendly, and even the people who are just in like summer college and not even in the program, like they're super nice and willing to help you understand everything that happens. There's so many different facilities that you can be interested in. Like there was like a little pool and gymnasium area that we got to see a couple times, and that was like really nice. There's many different activities that the Lott Institute provides. There was a poker night. There was like a night that everyone went out to like the public pool and had a pool party together. There was karaoke and a bunch of different activities, whether it was facilitated or not. Like my group session we played like Monopoly a lot some nights, and that's a fun activity that we did even just off. And even with the summer college students, you can make friends there, just find a common interest, and, like, and just new relationships blossom. Like we have a Discord now and we still keep in touch today. So
That's wonderful. Yeah, and I hear that from people who are even several years out. We've had marriages come out of this stuff too. We're like, not while you're with us, but once you're gone,
yeah.
that's fine. But yeah, so Sophie's alluded to the fact that we have summer college as well. So Lott is part of a larger family of programs. We have the summer college programs, and so you'll have Lott leadership students who are living there, and only our high school students live in these dorms, and the trained people who supervise them. Like, no college students are randomly living on your hall unless they're a trained undergraduate who's been background checked and has supervisory, authority. But you will have students who are in the engineering track studying that, or you may have students who are doing research in Rebel research labs. So they're like working on catalysis processes and trying to make solar panels that are more efficient. You may have students who are studying Chinese or Arabic and are running around putting signage everywhere that you can't read. We have all different kinds of students who come together in this big community, as Sophie's suggesting. And the nice part is you will get to know the Lott students. You will be hugging and crying with those people as you leave at the end of the session, but you will also have this other network of other people that you played board games with, and that you sang karaoke with, and that you went rock climbing with for the first time in your life, and they cheered for you even though you never made it more than 10 feet off the ground. You will have this whole group of people that you will know, and that's, I think, one of the things that students like most. We'd love to say it's the classes, and the classes are great, but I think the students really, really love that feeling of being a college student and getting to know all different kinds of people. And we do have international students who live with us a lot too, and that's a fun piece of it too, the cross-cultural experience. So Sophie, can you talk a little bit about living in the dorms? What's it like to live in the dorms if you've never, had a roommate, never had to go get up and get to the Rebel Market to get your breakfast in the morning and all that? What was it like living in the dorms for you?
It puts everything to perspective. I will say that. It's not too much like space, not in a bad way, but it's like good to see like this is what it's maybe going to be like in college, and you could prepare for it. Everything's like just the right size, like you got the good, like a good bed, you got a good desk, you got everything that you need. And there's a bunch of different shops or stores that you can go to if you need like any kind of supplies. Like we did Walmart runs, if I remember correctly, sometimes. And also just roommate wise, I had an amazing roommate. She was like one of like the international students. Like parents like got a visa and like lived in Mississippi, and she came to the summer program to study English, and it was very wonderful to like help her learn English and just learn more about each other. Like if you like whenever you get a roommate, like I recommend just trying to talk to them and become friends with them, because we're still friends now. Even though like she lives far away, we still talk with each other, and it's very nice, and just understanding everything that happens.
That's great. Thank you. So if you had to put in a nutshell, what benefit did you get? I mean, that's a whole month of your summer. That's a big commitment. So what benefit did you get from this?
I've gotten better with public speaking, like being able to talk with others, but also being able to present more like to a larger group of people. For like club meetings, I've been able to like host like 40 students in one area and trying to like talk with them about like maybe certain games, or like maybe even like certain activities that we're doing for the day. Being able to like learn more about government. If you're taking a government class senior year, it will definitely help you fly by like for that whole year. I would say, because like AP government right now, I'm just already knowing everything in advance. So
Wonderful. That's great. That's very helpful. So I will turn it over to let some of y'all ask questions. Do you have any questions for Sophie? Things that are on your mind? And you can also you can either just shout out whatever you got, or you can write it in the chat. Any questions for her or for us?
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, I was just wondering, so the Lott program allows you to study like anything, or is it a specific set of class that the Lott provides, or
Yeah, good question, Francis. So yeah, you will take the same classes, like all Lott students take the same classes, political science, public speaking, and the leadership 1 credit class. They're in a cohort, so you'll just see each other, and we don't even let college students into those classes because there's extra speakers and all kinds of extra stuff that comes with it. And if you were like, that's, nice, but I would really rather take like a public speaking class and an engineering class or something, summer college would be an option for you instead of Lott.
Okay.
Because that's open to anybody, and anybody can take whatever classes they want.
okay?
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Other questions you all have? While you're thinking, I might ask Ari. Ari, would you speak a little bit to sort of some of from 2 points of view? One, could you speak to, as a parent, how safe is this? How much freedom do they have? And then can you also speak to the co-curriculum as well? Like what happens after hours, once they've had dinner? What do they do on the weekends? That kind of stuff.
So for the parents who are connected today, OMIS is one of the safest, one of the top 10 safest campus in the US. Students are able to walk on campus without any concern. It's also a very tight-knit community, which also adds another layer of safety. But on part of our policies and part of our rules is that students cannot leave campus without a staff member. So that adds another additional layer of safety. Students cannot leave campus on their own, and they have a curfew. So by a certain time, every student needs to be inside the building, and by a certain time, they have to be in the rooms. So it is a very safe environment. We also select a group of students who will be in charge of our a group of counselors. We call them counselors, but it's summer staff. And these students, they have been trained, they have been background checked, and they have been in a series of different sessions to prepare them for this job, to take care of our students. So that is from the safety perspective. I think this is one of the we take safety very seriously with our students. During the afternoons, after everybody is done with their classes, normally classes end for all the programs at around 4. So right after, we have different activities that will help students do or develop different things. Some of them are academic things. We normally invite people from other departments. They help students, for example, understand a syllabus, something that is very common in college classes. What's a syllabus? What's the type of information that they have? We help them with time management. We help them with getting to know different places on campus, different majors, different minors, schools. So some of those are academic oriented, and some others are social oriented. So most of the time, students are doing a bunch of different things. Like, for example, dances. For example, we go to different places in town for dinner. We have, for example, rock climbing here on campus. We have so many different activities that students are so busy. You will be so busy that sometimes parents are a little concerned that they don't check in with their families because they are doing a lot of different things. And at the end, they are so tired. but every single day there's something going on. And even if there's nothing going on, that we as an office facilitate students find very fun ways to spend the afternoon, or rainy days, for example.
Yeah, it's always a balance between we keep them so busy, but they want time to make their own thing. So we make sure that there's space for them to do that too. So Sophie, can you speak a little bit to what was the hardest thing for you academically? Like if I'm a student and I'm thinking, well, this sounds nice, but how hard is it? You said it's college classes. And I mean, these are professors. These are some of our best professors on campus who have pretty high standards. What would you say about academically? Is it really hard? Is it intimidating?
It sounds intimidating at first, but like once you kind of understand what they're asking for, in reality, it's actually kind of easy. Like it took a long while for me to understand, but it's because I like to handwrite notes and all that. And I have like my little journal behind me if I wanted to pull it out. But it's because I like taking notes and that's the way I study. But in reality, it's just like if you read the material, you understand it, and maybe like try to get a key takeaways. Like what is this telling me? Like what are the key skills that this like public speaking book is asking for? Or like in the government textbook, like what is it like what does the branch do, or like what does this specific part and what do these terms mean? And once you kind of do that, it in reality it's just kind of like trying to understand like the core lesson.
Mhm.
And once you like read the book and do all the requirements, you have like a bunch of free time. It took me about at most an hour and a half, but and just set aside that time just at least once a day, and then rest of the day you can do whatever you want. It's easy, in my opinion.
Yeah. And you see Lott students studying together a lot, and there's periods of time when they're like all stressed and tired because they're getting ready for the leader to leader luncheon when they're all speaking, and then you see them like burning the candle at both ends. They're exhausted and they're researching and they're sitting around looking disheveled and eating things compulsively. That's only a part of it. Most of the time, like Sophie said, you just got to discipline yourself. And since everybody's doing the same thing, you're not missing out. Like everybody is studying at the same, and so it works out really well. I think that they are a good influence on each other in that way. Any other questions that come to mind for you all? And by the way, Jordan, I did see you there. It's good to see you again.
Glad to be here.
Any questions? No? Well, I imagine many of you are hungry, you're ready for dinner, that kind of stuff. So what I'm going to do is just conclude with a few comments. And then if you have any questions, we'll let you hang out. You can hang back and ask us them, or you can just email us either. Ari, would you mind putting the summer college email in there just in case they want to email? The email address that Ari is going to drop in there is not the Lott Leadership Institute. They do a lot of things. So it's better if you have questions about the application process or about the content, what you're doing, pretty much any question you have, just email it to this email address. You'll get Kathy Thompson, who wasn't able to be here tonight, but she is our enrollment and admissions specialist in the office. So she handles, you will email with her a lot. She will be telling you, oh, you're still missing this on your application, or did you remember that blah, blah, blah. She'll take care of you all the way until you get in, and she'll be one of the first faces you see when you check in at the program. So you really want to make sure you know her, and that's the email where you can send all of your questions. I see, what are the dates? So Ari's going to pop those into the chat. Sometimes people are a little confused with first session. They think they can't really mean that they start on Memorial Day. We really mean they start on Memorial Day. They do arrive right before Memorial Day, and they start doing things immediately because we just don't have any time to waste. There's a lot of content that happens, especially with the trip to DC, or in Sophie's group's case, we went to Jackson. They met with politicians and leaders there. It was a really fantastic trip. Is one session more popular? No, it really varies so much year to year. I couldn't say that one. What I would suggest, if you are willing to put either on your application, that gives you a great chance. That's probably your best bet if you're trying to give yourself the chance to maximize. Because if you go in the either session pool, the committee evaluates and scores everybody in the first session, scores everybody in the second session, scores everybody in either. And then they try to find a way to take all the people who have scored the most highly and fit them into sessions. So either doesn't disadvantage you, it actually advantages you, because then they can put you in wherever they feel like you're going to fit. And I'll say a few words just about that selection process, because sometimes I have families, afterwards, like I said, we get hundreds of people nominated, and then 100 something or 200 actually apply all the way through the process, and then we still only take 40. So some people will go, well, what do you have to do to get in this program? I have a 4.0 and I have a 35 on the ACT, and I've run 15 different clubs myself personally. I'm the president of all of them. What do you have to do? And the fantastic thing about this program is we have so many wonderful candidates that the committee really has to be thoughtful, because when you're picking from the best, like, how do you differentiate between people who are all incredibly well qualified? And what the committee does, and if I hope I didn't scare anybody by saying you're 35 on the ACT, you don't need that to be to be considered in the running. What the committee does is they evaluate in a really holistic sense, and that's really how university admissions are moving too. So they look at your grades, yes, they look at your ACT, they look at how challenging are your classes. Did you take the kinds of classes that really challenged you, and what kinds of classes does your high school offer? Some classes or high schools offer IB and AP classes and dual credit, some don't, and they know that. So if you're in a high school that doesn't offer those things, they're just looking at, did you take the most challenging curriculum your high school offered, right? On top of that, they're asking, well, what did your references say about you? What kinds of things were said? Because we get some folks who just write kind of a generic reference. They're a great person, they're a human who shows up for class, and they don't seem to do anything wrong. And that kind of reference doesn't help the committee a lot. The references that really are powerful are the ones that tell the story of the student. This student is, motivated. Here's some stories about them. Here's some things I've seen them do. Here's how they compare to other students I see. And so they take that into consideration. Those references are wonderful in terms of helping differentiate between different kinds of really excellent students. They look at things like what you say in your essay and in your video, and that's really idiosyncratic. One year, what you said in your video might have been just the thing they needed to hear. Another year, 5 other people may have said exactly the same things. And so how do you, make a choice? I encourage people to just be really authentic, be exactly who you are in that essay, be exactly who you are, the best version of yourself. Don't get me wrong, the best version of yourself, but don't try to put on some kind of face, because the committee, what they want is to see a group of students who have interesting things to say to one another. They're not all from the same kind of school. They're not all from the same kind of background. They're not all thinking the same way. They don't have the same hopes. They want people who have different hopes, different aspirations, different life experiences, different kinds of involvement on campus, introverts, extroverts. They want all of it. So when they put it together, you will have people who are really qualified, could have made it, and don't get in, and that's okay. And I say that to you not to discourage you, but to encourage you to know that you should go through this application process. You stand just as good a chance as every other nominee. And if you don't get in, we do send an offer to you for other opportunities, because we want to capture as many nominees as we can for our programs, because we know that Lott nominees are incredibly awesome people. So there are lots of other programs that you may have an opportunity to join if you decide to go through the application process. I see the question about cost. It does not cost a lot of good money. That is what is wonderful about this. This year, the total cost, including the registration fee and the program fee, will be $1,000. And that may sound like a lot, or it may sound like a little, depending on where you're coming from. The university scholarships tuition for these students, there's no cost there, because we know that these are the very best students, and it's a privilege to educate them and to extend this opportunity to them. The Lott Leadership Institute has an endowment. They cover a portion of it, and then we cover a portion in our office. And that includes travel expenses. The only thing that you might have to pay in addition to that $1,000 is, like Sophie said, we do fun stuff on the weekends. Well, if you decide that, you know, you want to go with your friends to the square, and Ari says, I have some counselors who are willing to take you to the square, and you decide to go eat out, well, that's going to be on you. You're going to have to pay for your own food. So that would be an additional cost. You know, if you decide, I don't know, you want to buy souvenirs, I guess. We typically tell students budget at least $250 in I went to Walmart and bought myself the best tutu to wear to Pride. And I also got a whole bunch of granola bars, you know, budget yourself some money for things like that. But no. And if that $1,000 is a barrier to you, we do have need-based scholarships that are available that students can apply for. Other questions? These were great. No? All right. Well, thank you all for being here. I'm going to let Sophie say one more thing. I want to say, Sophie, if you were going to give them your real quick pitch, like you should do this, what would you tell them? The most important thing they need to know about why they should do this?
Just do it to try something new. Just be a new you. Just live life how you would want to. If you had like the time to be independent and just have a brand new start, that I would recommend just doing this program.
Thank you. That's a wonderful, wonderful way to close out. And I see we have one more question. Is an ACT or no, ACT is not required. Not required. We will, when we go through the, if you're accepted, we'll put you through a university admissions process for dual credit students. At that point, we need we will already have your high school transcript. But if there's, for some reason, you don't have enough credits there, we may ask for an ACT score. But as juniors, you will have enough credits there. So you should be just fine. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all so very much. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and don't hesitate to ask us any questions. Thank you so much, Sophie, for coming on tonight. I know you're busy. Appreciate it.
No problem.
You're the best. Thank you. All right, y'all. Have a good night. Take care.